All right, hello and welcome back everyone to PSGL. We are here for the F8 Championship and this is the very first round of season number 30. It's good to be back with PSGL and today we're here in Portimao, Portugal, here at the Algarve International Circuit for round 1 in F8. All right, so we're ready to get the racing underway, and let's start off by talking about where we are. So we're at the Portuguese Grand Prix, which is the Portimao circuit, of course. It's got 15 turns to make up a circuit length of 4.653 kilometers. That's 2.891 miles long. There's also 2 DRS zones to help encourage overtaking, one down that really long straight, which you can see on your screen right now, down into the tight turn 1, and then there's a second one, a smaller one, in between the very difficult traction zone at turn number 4 and into the heavy hairpin at turn 5. Alright, so with the track details aside, let's get into the Grand Prix here today and into the first ever round of F8 in Season 30. Today, it's myself in the comms booth, and I'm former Legiona, your commentator for today in PSGL in F8. This is the PlayStation division, and we're here in Portugal. You join us with 16 minutes of the qualifying as we head into the Grand Prix with a very, very talented grid out there on track. If you guys are just new to the channel, subscribe and like this video if you're enjoying the commentary so far. Send in some comments as well. That would be very much appreciated. So, what can we talk about? Well, I guess we can talk about these drivers and the calendar itself. So, first up, we got Portugal, and then we head into Britain, and then we're going to head into Monaco. That's just the first 3. If we get a chance later on, I'll go through the entire calendar, but there's 15 rounds. So we start out here in Portugal, and we end off in Bahrain on the last couple of weeks of May. So it's going to be an incredible season, guys, to start off Season 30, of course, in F8 with such a talented grid. I can just see a few names out there that are looking to prove themselves and hopefully become champion in the F8 division. A lot of exciting drivers out there, so we'll see how this all works out. But yeah, a lot of stuff to talk about, guys. Right now, we're on board with Milan in the Mercedes, as I get the track map and everything on screen so you guys can see everything. He's just coming through turn 5, and I do believe he's the first driver to set a lap. So he's going to go purple in the first sector. He's got a little bit of traffic coming up to him, but they should be able to get out of the way in time, and yes, they do. That's perfect. So now coming through that very difficult traction zone, you want to shift down to around 3rd or 4th gear. It's a very difficult zone to come into. Now down into that lawn, like downward section. Looks like Jarno's right there. He's going to get out of the way, so perfect there. And, oh, Milan, just a little bit of an issue there. Unfortunately, had to go off the track. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I blinked and he was just off screen. Unfortunate to see. I wonder if there was contact with Jarno and himself because they were kind of close on track. Not exactly sure what happened there. But he is unfortunately down in P2 as Slash in the Williams just went fastest, a 1:16.1, so he's the first driver to set a lap time. Great to see that. So is there anyone else there that's setting laps right now, setting good sectors? I think we're just seeing an Aston Martin come to the line. That might be Robin West, as it looks like Felix 1 just went into 2nd position, a 1:17.033. He's around a second down off of Slash's time. He's probably going to look to improve on that time. But a lot of drivers out there looking to get... Oh, that is, I do believe, one of the AlphaTauris. Yep, that is de Boiselaire in the AlphaTauri that just went second fastest, a 1:16.3. Just 2/10 off of provisional pole position set by Slash, a 1:16.1, as I did mention. And we have a few comments coming in saying that go Robin. Great to see that. Robin in the Aston Martin, looking to get a good result. I definitely think he can get a good result. So we'll see how that all works out. He's currently down in P18. I think he's currently on a lap as well. So let's take an onboard with him as we have the second Alfa Romeo. I do believe that was Giro that just went 3rd, a 1:16.7 for the Alfa Romeo as Robin goes purple in the 2nd sector. So looking to improve on the time he has right now and looking to go possibly fastest overall. Let's see as he comes through that very difficult long right-hander down to the straight. He's using all the inside curve as possible. And unfortunately, it looks like, oh, he went P3, a little bit of a delay there. But he did go P3, so 1:16.5. It's not quickest overall, but he is close to first place, as that's the Red Bull of Syntex now that goes into 4th. A lot of quick times already coming in as we enter the just beginning of qualifying here today. A lot of drivers looking to prove themselves, as I did mention, so we'll see how this all works out. But we have had some times that have come in, which is great. We're entering pretty much the halfway mark of qualifying. The time is flying by pretty fast, guys. And what's interesting as well is that only one driver has chosen to go for the medium compound tires. You're probably wondering, what is the strategy for around here at Portugal? Well, we'll find out a little bit more information in the race, but what I can tell you is that the tires do last pretty long for around here. I think the softs can last around 16 to 17 laps if you make sure that you don't push a lot on those tires. You can conserve them as much as possible. You can take those softs for a long time, but medium to soft is a possibility as well. I tend to go for that particular strategy at certain points. It kind of just depends on how the conditions are on track. Who knows, rain can come in at some point as well. But who is next to come across the line? Looks like we have 12 drivers that have set a lap. Currently, Slash is on provisional pole with that lap time he set very early on, a 1:16.180. It looks like we're just seeing one of the Haas's coming around the final corner. I think that might be Teese, as he's going to set a lap. Let's see what he can do. He goes P11, 117.1. He doesn't put himself up into the top 10, but I think he's going to look to very soon. Looks like he's actually going for another lap, so let's see what he can do as he comes through turn 3. Now, this is a very difficult part of the track, guys, as you have the uphill section, which is a very difficult traction zone, and then you want to make sure you get on the power as soon as possible, so you can come down to turn 5, which is about now, into that hairpin. Great place to make overtakes as well if you want to dive bomb. Oh, his teeth goes a little bit squirrely off the exit at turn 5. But it looks like he's going well as he comes through another traction zone. Ooh, he hits that curb a little bit too much. Unfortunately, has to kind of wrestle the steering wheel there to kind of get it back on track. He's coming through the second sector now. He's about to set the second sector time. Let's see what it is. He's 8/10 up on that lap. Okay, so looking to improve. It's not purple, so it's not fastest currently, but maybe he's going to find some time in the third sector. Let's find out. Through turn number 13 and 14 we go. It's going a little bit wide, but I think he's perfectly on the line, actually. As he comes through the final corner now, using all the line. Oh, he actually comes into the pit lane. He decides to come into the pits. Very interesting. So maybe he thought that that lap was not good enough, or he's going to try and set another lap on fresher tires. He is on 3-lap-old soft, so I would probably do the same. I would probably head into the pit lane and then put on a new set of tires. That would probably be the best thing to do. But not a lot of cars out on track. I think what's going on, guys, is that we're seeing drivers come into the pit lane and kind of review their lap times and then go back out on track with fresher tires and more data, you know. So we'll see how this all works out. I think we have a few drivers still out on track. Giro and Ruben right now in the Aston and Alfa Romeo are on out laps currently. I think Felix 1 is about to start his lap. So the second Alfa Romeo is down in P11, is looking to improve on that time. Let's see how his turn 1 goes. Ooh, that's beautiful, actually. Beautiful turn 1. Through turn 3 we go. Slows it down perfectly as he comes through turn 4. Now into that little DRS straight that we call the second DRS straight. Into the heavy braking zone at turn 5. It is a very difficult braking zone, guys, because you want to slow down the car as much as possible and then immediately come on the power. And I recommend shifting up as fast as possible, like short shifting and all that sort of thing, into another traction zone, and one of the most difficult traction zones on the track, actually. And then into the roller coaster section, as a lot of people call it. It is a very unique track, guys. It hasn't been on the F1 game for that long. It came out, I do believe, in October, if I'm not mistaken, of 2021, as actually Felix 1 goes purple in the second sector, and he is improving on his time right now, so looking really strong. Let's see as he comes through the final 2 corners. Yellow flag, I do believe it's one of the Haas's, possibly letting another car pass that's on a lap. Here comes Felix 1 down to turn 15. A lot of drivers using that inside as much as possible. As he comes to the line, what's his lap? It is P3. Good lap from Felix 1. Puts his Alfa Romeo into the top 3 with a 1:16.4. He's just a 10th down off of the AlphaTauri. And, ooh, very close to the Williams of El Poter, who's in P4 and coming out on a lap as well. Robin West is on a lap as well. He's on a out lap, so he's looking to start another lap. But yeah, this game hasn't had the Portugal circuit in it for that long, guys. So it might be new to a lot of these drivers, but I'm sure they've been practicing. Of course, this is the first round of PSGL Season 30, so I'm sure they've been practicing for the last couple of weeks on this track. As, ooh, that's Jarno that's just gone second fastest. Good lap from him as he goes a 1:16.2. The track is starting to warm up, guys. We're starting to see a lot quicker lap times. And I expect we'll see even more quicker lap times. As speaking of quick laps, we see Robin in the purple sectors, as that is the Bosler in the AlphaTauri that's just gone fastest overall. So speaking of the track warming up, the AlphaTauri, oh, that's Robin that's just got a validation, and he spins off as well. That's at turn 8, the traction zone I was talking about earlier. And he has spun off. Unfortunately, he will not be improving on that time because he has spun and has got an invalidation as well. He's got to be careful because there comes the Alfa Romeo of Giro, who's coming up as well, as that is the Bosler's teammate, Oldwine, who's just gone P4. AlphaTauri looking really strong. So the number 19 AlphaTauri goes P4 with a 1:16.3. The times are coming in, guys. We're seeing really quick lap times and a really close grid as well. Pretty much all the way down to around P14. They're all separated by just a few tenths of a second. It's pretty incredible to see how this has kind of gone through. So we now enter just 6 minutes remaining of this qualifying session. What drivers are looking to do, they're probably on laps currently, and then they're probably going to come into the pit lane, review the data, and go out for one final lap that sets the grid for the race. Because that one final lap is critical, guys, because that's going to be where the track is going to be the fastest. So we'll see how this all works out. And Jarno currently coming into the pit lane, I'm assuming. I think he already set his lap, and I think a lot of drivers are coming into the pit lane. Jarno has just come into the pit lane, as that is Milan that has just gone fastest overall for Mercedes, a 1:16.0. That is a very quick lap time, a tenth faster than the AlphaTauri in P2. So Milan just went first, and that might be the time to chase. I could see that being the pole position lap. Or could we branch into the 1:15s? It's definitely possible. We'll see what these drivers can do. All right, so it looks like everyone is coming into the pit lane. They're getting ready to fit on a new set of tires and getting ready to start going into the final lap of qualifying. That final lap is all where it counts, as that is going to be the fastest time. That's going to be the fastest point for drivers to set a lap. Looks like everyone's actually coming into the pit lane. It looks like Mats is actually on a lap right now. He's coming out on an out lap, so he's the first out of the grid pretty much to come out on a lap. His teammate Nick has also come out on a lap as well, so Alpine choosing to go quite early, maybe choosing to go for a double lap here, possibly going for 2 or 3 laps, because they got a lot of time to do so, as that is the Red Bull of Alex. Alex coming through that very difficult section of turn 11. Now he is on the soft compound tires down in P18, so he's going to look to improve on his time and look to jump himself possibly up into the top 10. Would that be where he is? We will find out in just a little bit. Looks like he's backed off, though. I think he has backed off. So he is not going to be improving on that time. I do believe Mats is about to start his lap in the Alpine. Yes, that just confirms it. Alex was aborting that lap. He's coming into the pit lane, most likely to put on a fresh new set of tires and then go out again. So yeah, just a few drivers out on track. We're waiting for that moment where the drivers kind of all swarm the track and come out on track. It looks like a few drivers are coming out. Slash has just come out on an out lap. He's coming through turn 3 now as we run on board with Mats into turn 5. And the Alpine looking pretty strong. And let's just see how this all works out. So we got, oh, he's just invalidated. He has just invalidated. Mats, and the Alpine has invalidated that lap, and unfortunately will not be improving. That is super unfortunate for the Alpine car and for the Alpine team as well. He's going to have to make sure that he just calms down after that lap and goes again for another one. He's got time, so that's good. He does have a lot of time, which is great. He's got 3 minutes to set probably probably 2 laps. He's probably got the ability to set 2, maybe even 3 laps if he invalidates 1 or whatever, you know. So anyway, moving on. It looks like everyone has pretty much come out on the pits, or come out of the pits and onto the track. Just a few drivers are still in the pit lane. It looks like Syntax and Ruben are actually now just coming out on track as I say that. And the 4 at the back of the grid have not come out. So a few drivers coming out on the pits, hopefully in the next minute or so. We'll see how that all works out. Also, the entire grid is all on soft, so none of them have chosen to go for the mediums. And you know what? Why not? The mediums, I mean, they're great tires, but you want speed for around here. You want to be consistent, and I'm assuming these drivers know that the softs, you can take them long, and they'll be fast, of course. So it's not surprising. It's not surprising that these soft compound tires are working the best for these drivers out on track, and they're not choosing to go for the mediums at this stage. So anyway, moving on, we got 2 minutes remaining of the session. Let's take an onboard, maybe with Felix 1. Let's take an onboard with the Alfa Romeo as he comes through turn 15. And we'll keep an eye on the rest of the grid as well, as they're all going to be setting their quickest lap times at the moment. So Felix 1 down the straight, you're going to see speeds up to around 200 miles per hour. Of course, it depends on your downforce settings. Into turn 1, don't go too wide, you can get an invalidation pretty easily. Down into turn 3 we go. This is a very heavy braking zone. Sometimes drivers go off, including myself actually. Down into turn 4. Up the hill, actually, into the small DRS straight, a little bit down, into turn 5 for the heavy braking zone, gets right between that curb, that's beautiful, into turn 5, rotates the car perfectly as he comes on the power, short shifting, into around 4th gear, and then just shifting normally, and then a fast right-hander, maybe just dabbing the brakes there as he comes into an uphill section, which is very difficult for traction, down into a downhill section, which a lot of ups and downs, guys, because it is a roller coaster type of track, into a double right-hander of turn 10 and turn 11. Don't go too wide, you can get invalidation pretty easily at that particular section. Into turn 12 and down into turn 13, another heavy braking zone, the last of the heavy braking zones as he comes down into turn 14, the last braking zone really, as he comes around the curb. Don't go too wide, that's another invalidation zone right there. Get very close to the curb into turn 15. Make sure you stay all the way to the line. He's using all the inside as possible as he goes P3, a 1:16.172. The Alfa Romeo puts it 3rd fastest. That is a great lap time from Felix 1. As it looks like his teammate is also on a lap as well, as Milan has just broken into the 115s. Slash has now gone into the 115s, but it's a 115.871. They're both into the 115.8s. Is there anyone else on track that can improve on their times? What about De Bosler in the AlphaTauri? Round to turn 13 we go. Slash and Milan are P1 and P2. They possibly could go for another lap, but Milan is a 115.8, so they have broken into the 115s. Can the AlphaTauri, though, go faster, possibly into a 115.7? Let's find out. The time has stopped. No more laps to be gone again, as De Bosler cannot improve on his position. He stays 3rd fastest. Does go at 116.0, but it is not fastest overall. Old One could not improve either. Next to come across the line should be the Ferrari of, I do believe, let's see as he comes to the line now. Oh, he's a little slow off that exit, but I think it's all good, as unfortunately he does not improve on his position. Next to come across the line would be Giro, as he actually comes into the pit lane, so he's not improving. What about Robin West? No, he is coming into the pits as well, so it's only good enough for 11th position for the Aston Martin driver. Francie in the McLaren now, coming around the final corner as he comes into these pits straight. What's this lap going to be for the McLaren? He puts it P6 alongside his teammate on the 3rd row of the grid. Very good lap time from Francie there. Next to come across the line should be the Haas, I do believe, of Teese. Let's find out. No, he's invalidated that time, so he's not improving. And it looks like the Mercedes is also invalidated. So that just leaves Milan and Slash, but I think that's it, guys. I think that is it. I don't see anyone else improving on their times. And I do believe it is the end of qualifying. Milan is on pole position for the first ever round in Season 30 of F8 PlayStation Division. Milan with a 1:15.852. That is the time that everyone had to beat, and unfortunately they cannot. Slash got super close though. 2/100ths of a second separating the top two there in the final qualifying moments. That was absolutely incredible. And if qualifying was exciting, who knows what the race could bring. All right, so it looks like qualifying is ended. We are just waiting for everyone to... It looks like we're just waiting for Milan, actually, as he has just retired now. So, Milan on pole for Mercedes. Great to see that. The Mercedes team will start on pole. Will he keep that down to turn one, though? I mean, the Williams was super close to the Mercedes in qualifying. So, could we see a battle for the race lead? We will find out at the first turn, of course. And of course, that is a very difficult turn to make an overtake. A lot of drivers don't make too many overtakes at that particular section of the track. It is an overtaking opportunity, but it is very difficult to do so. So, I don't know. We'll see how that all works out. Could we see a side-by-side moment between the top two? We will find out in just a little bit of time. All right, so we're just waiting for the grid. I think we're heading into the race now. Here we go. As now we head into the Grand Prix. Everyone's just getting ready for the race. They're making sure they have the right tire strategy, all that sort of thing. As Parc Fermé is on, they won't be able to edit any of their setups. So, yeah, now they're heading into the race. So, while we're waiting for the drivers to get out on track for the formation lap, I just want to mention real quickly, if you guys are not subscribed to the PSGL channel, definitely do so to see more content on this league. Of course, it's an incredible league. It is worldwide known. Like this video also if you're enjoying the commentary. And yeah, let's get into the race. I hope you guys are excited. If you guys have any predictions as well, let us know down in the comment section down below. Who do you think is going to win the PSGL first ever round in Season 30? Let us know down in the comments as well. So, 17 seconds until we get the racing underway. We'll do a formation lap, and then we'll do the race, of course. We will have, of course, I think around 33 laps or something like that. We'll find out exactly how many laps as we head into the race. Strategy, like I mentioned briefly earlier on, is an interesting one. You can take the softs long for around here. Drivers could start in the mediums, but I think they all are starting on the softs, unless, of course, the bottom 11... And actually, the bottom 12 are pretty much all starting on the mediums, where Alex is starting on the softs, and then everyone from 11th up is all starting on the softs. So a little bit of a mix in terms of strategy. You can take those mediums long. You can probably take them to a period where you can pit onto the softs, which is a great strategy as well. We will find out how that works out in the race. Who knows what could happen. So, let's do the rundown of the grid before we get into the Grand Prix here in PSGL. It's Milan on pole position for the first time in Season 30 for round 1 here in Portugal. He's got Slash in the Williams in P2. The two separated by 2/100ths of a second in qualifying. Let's see if they're going to be close in the Grand Prix. Looking down at the rest of the grid, we got De Blosler in the AlphaTauri starting P3 alongside Felix 1 on the second row of the grid for Alfa Romeo. It's an all McLaren third row of the grid. Jarno ahead of Francie in the McLarens, looking strong already with Old Wine in P7, the second AlphaTauri alongside Ruben in the Aston Martin starting P8. Syntax in the Red Bull starting P9 alongside El Pelletier in the Williams, the second Williams, so both Williams making it up into the top 10. That concludes the top 10, and then we got Chris, Robin, Giro, Kenshin, Mats, Tees, and then Bra, and then Alex and Julio rounding off the grid for Mercedes. One Mercedes at the front, one Mercedes at the back as we head into the starting of the PSGL F8 race. Let's see how this all works out. A lot of drivers have a chance of winning this one, and of course, they all want to start the season off well as the championship. Every point really counts, guys. Even though we are only the first race in, every point does count, and they want to start off the season strong. So let's see how this all works out as we head into the 33 laps of the Portuguese Grand Prix here in F8. So, we are ready. The formation lap is just ending. The grid is being set. We are waiting for those 5 red lights to go out for the Portuguese Grand Prix. Who will lead down into turn 1? We will find out. It is a very narrow turn 1, so we'll see how this all works out. So, the grid is ready. I think we're ready, and we're ready to start off Season 30 in F8. We're just waiting for those 5 red lights to go out. Alright, so it's time for the first round here in Portugal. The 5 red lights are about to go out for the first ever race in F8 in Season 30. It's lights out, and away we go. Slash gets a great start. He's trying to challenge Milan down to turn 1, but Milan gets the better start and does get ahead. It's the Boslayer trying to go round the outside, goes a little bit off the track, but does get ahead of the Williams. The AlphaTauri gets ahead of the Williams. Milan into turn 1, does lead, and into turn 5 now. We have a nice little battle. Felix and Jarno, the McLaren, had a great start there. Jarno up to P4. Francie trying to get in the mix as well as they go side by side down to turn 1. There's a Red Bull trying to go for a dive bomb. That's Syntax. Down the inside, they're going 3 wide, possibly 4 wide. There's a contact at the exit of turn 5 as well. They were 4 wide. It wasn't going to end well as that's the Aston Martin spinning around. Robin and Kenshin, I do believe, side by side as that is El Pilotaire. No, that's Slash. That's Slash starting P2. He's down the grid. He spun it off of turn number 8, and that is Slash down to P14. Not the start he would have wanted. He started P2, was down to P3, and unfortunately he's down to P14 after that spin. Unfortunate to see that, but that is the way it goes in racing. So moving on to the first lap. Entering the second lap, Milan leads us away by 0.7 of a second to De Boslayer in the AlphaTauri, and because of the spin, that promoted Jarno in the McLaren up to P3, and Francie, his teammate, up to P5. Both McLarens in the top 5. This is perfect for them as they enter lap 2. Chris in the Haas is trying to make the move on El Pilotaire as well in the Williams. And actually, you got a better exit as that is Jarno off the track at turn 1. Another car spinning off from P3. First it was Slash, now it is Jarno. He's got wing damage. This is absolutely drama for McLaren. It was going so well on the first lap, and unfortunately, Jarno has spun around. He's down to P15, has wing damage, and this is seriously going to impact his race. So up at the front, the gap still is the same between the AlphaTauri and the Mercedes. 8-10 separating the top 2 as we go into the third lap of the Grand Prix. Felix trying to defend against Francie. Now he is 2.7 seconds to De Boslayer, so Felix will look to try and close that gap, especially with the DRS coming into play on lap 3. So we will find out how this all works out. And Francie might start shaping up that move for P3 once the DRS is enabled, and it will be once we get to the pit straight. We will find out how that all works out in just a moment's time. And we have not a lot of battling going on right now. I think our closest battle might be between Chris and El Pilotaire. The Haas right behind, 1/10 behind the Williams. He's actually going to try and make the move. I think he's going to try and go for it. Let's get telemetry out on screen as well. He's got 65% ERS. He cannot make the move. He's not going to try it right now. He knows. He's not going to try it because there's not really a need, because you're going to go side by side down into turn 1 with no DRS assisted. But Felix goes a little bit wide. That might invite Francie to try and make the move. He goes a little bit wide though into turn 4. Into turn 5, he's got the DRS. He's going to risk it and try and go down the inside on Felix 1. No, he does not. He backs out. He knows that he cannot make the overtake. He's going to wait for that long DRS straight down to turn 1. Meanwhile, his teammate comes into the pit lane. So Jarno into the pits on a set of medium compound tires. He is around 22 seconds behind the pack, which is not what you want to see for the driver that was P3 just a little bit earlier on. And that is unfortunate, but that is the way it goes. Now, let's move back on to the battle for third. Francie, 0.4 of a second behind. He knows the DRS is going to be powerful down the straight, so he's going to try and make the move down to turn 1. I think that's what's going to be. But the thing is, he has to get a good exit out of turn 14 and 15. Let's find out as he comes through turn 14. Ooh, it looks like Felix actually got a better exit out of that particular section. Francie using a little bit ERS to try and catch back up to that Alfa Romeo. He is gaining a lot of time, and the slipstream is pretty powerful for around here, guys, while the DRS is also powerful. Here comes Francie riding on board with the McLaren. Keep an eye for that Williams as well, as here he comes. He's looking for the move, but cannot make it. He gets very close to Felix, but unfortunately cannot make the move. He's going to have to wait either for the DRS straight in between turn 4 and turn 5 just coming up, or he's going to have to go for it again on lap 5. We will find out how that works out. He's using the DRS. He's using a little bit of ERS. He's trying to catch up to Felix, but he's too far back to make the dive bomb on the Alfa Romeo. So he's going to have to wait for that DRS zone down to turn 1 once again. He's going to have to be closer. That's all I can really say. He is actually pretty close, though, to Felix. Is he possibly going to try and make a move into one of these corners? Possibly down into turn 13? Is that an option for the McLaren? It definitely is, but we'll find out. I think the best situation for him would just be pitting, not pitting, making the move on to turn 1. We will find out. But he also has El Piloter, Chris, and Robin right behind. We have a nice battle for P3 forming. And meanwhile, De Bosler and Milan are also having, they're starting to stretch away from this pack as well. Meanwhile, El Piloter is starting to chase after Francie. I think he wants to get that move done and get past the McLaren and then try and make the move on Felix. He's actually going for it. He's using a lot of ERS here, and he's going to try and go for it. Felix defends the inside line. They both have DRS. Could we see a 3-wide moment between these 3 drivers? Ooh, Francie gets ahead. The Williams of El Piloter gets ahead as well. That was a very good move, but here comes Felix 1. He's coming back at the Williams driver down the inside. He goes. El Piloter goes for the switchback maneuver, trying to get ahead of the Alfa Romeo, tries to get the better exit. Felix 1 goes a little bit off track, has the DRS, so I think El Piloter has to go for it. He has to try it. No, he does not. He's a little too far behind. Unfortunately, he cannot make the move. But Francie did make the move. He's up on the P3 now and starting to gain time on the pack ahead and starting to pull away from Felix 1 there. So this is kind of good for him, but he has to make sure that he gets out of that 1 second gap to the rival behind. He is 5'10", separating the McLaren and the Alfa Romeo. So we'll see what happens here. But El Piloter in the Williams trying to catch up as well. He wants to re-overtake these guys and get ahead. He's got the ERS. He had a lot of speed down that straight, so I expect the Williams to possibly have the better straight line speed than the 2 drivers ahead. He's got to worry, though, because Chris and Robin are right behind as well, and I do believe we have a nice long DRS train down to P9 because Nick and Giro are in that battle as well. El Piloter has got the pace, but he cannot get past this. We're having that little DRS train going on right now. Slash and Bra are swapping positions, I believe. The Williams gets ahead of the Ferrari. He is on the soft compound tires, so he's making his way through the field. I could seriously see Flash possibly up in the top 5 at the end of the race after what happened to him earlier on. I think he could definitely get back up into the higher positions. He's starting to chase after Alex in the Red Bull just ahead. And, of course, Alex doesn't have any cars ahead of him, so this should be a pretty easy overtake for Slash, since he is on the soft compound tires and will be faster down the straight than the medium compound runner Red Bull. So we'll see how this all works out. But besides that battle, we still have that battle for P3. Looks like this DRS train is kind of affecting overtakes right now, but El Piloter is looking for that move. He wants to get past that Alfa Romeo as soon as possible. Let's see if he can do it. He's trying to get the better exit out of turn 14. Francie still has that gap, so he's still within the gap for Felix 1 to get past. Felix has 33% ERS, though, and El Piloter has got 70%. So this might help the Williams to try and get past. Is he going to try and go for it down into turn 1? I don't think he's going to go for it, so interesting. No overtaking at this particular moment between these 3 drivers. But I think El Piloter, if he can get the better exit out of turn number 4, he might be able to make the move. But I think he didn't get the greatest exit, so unfortunately he's not going to make the move at this particular moment. So besides this great battle for P3, let's talk about the top 2 right now. De Bosler has a 3.4 second gap to Milan in P1. The AlphaTauri is looking to make the move on the Mercedes as soon as possible, but Milan is starting to just pull away, really. He is starting to pull away. He's kind of running his own race right now. But we are still very early on in this race, so anything can happen. We will see what happens. De Bosler and that AlphaTauri starting to gain a little bit of time. I wonder if maybe he's trying to conserve these tires and maybe go for the undercut strategy. Could that be the option? I'm not exactly sure. That is a yellow flag. That is the Haas of Tees off the track. In the same place Yarno spun. So looks like he's off the track at turn number 2 and 3. Unfortunate to see that, but that is the way it goes. Moving on to the battle for third once again. El Piloter is going for the move. Here he goes. Down the inside on the Alfa Romeo. He has done it. El Piloter has made the move on Felix 1 and moves himself up in the 4th. And there goes Chris as well. Chris has made the move on Felix as well. Felix may have damage or something like that because he's struggling a little bit as, yeah, he's just been overtaken by a few cars there. Robin and Nick get past as well. And his teammates, yeah, he's got damage. Felix 1's got damage. Where did he get that? I wonder if he got contact maybe with another driver or something like that. But he's got major damage and is now down to P9, which is, of course, unfortunate. He's going to have to pit. Oh, dear. Yeah, that damage did not help him out. Maybe that's why El Piloter was able to get past, and same for the rest of the drivers as well. He just didn't have enough downforce there to be able to turn the car. Unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. Another driver we have to keep an eye on is Chris in that Haas. Now, Chris has got some serious pace. He's right in the back of the McLaren and the Williams, and same with El Piloter. I think they're starting to chase after Francie. I wonder if Francie is running a little bit of a lower downforce set, or sorry, a higher downforce setting, and I wonder if the Williams and the Haas are running a little bit of a lower downforce setting, because it seems like they're much faster down the straight. But of course, that's also just slipstream as well. So here comes Chris. He is gaining a lot of time. Same with El Piloter, but they're not going to make the move on the McLaren. They're not going to do that anytime soon. So that's the way it goes. Giro starting to just lose a little bit of time to Nick, I want to say. He's 6/10 behind Kenshin. So I wonder if Giro maybe struggling a little bit. Lag, possibly. Not exactly sure. I think that's a little bit of lag going on because it says he's P19, which is not correct, of course. He is in P9, if I'm not mistaken, or P8. Sorry, P8. Anyway, moving on. Chris still trying to make the move on El Piloter. The Williams is still trying to make the move on Francie. I think he's charging that ERS, getting ready to make that move on that McLaren. I think he knows that if he gets ahead, he can start pulling away, starting to get that gap. Now, what Francie needs to do is make sure that he is getting the best exit out of turn 14. That is critical for him because he doesn't have a lot of ERS, and it seems like he doesn't have as much pace as El Piloter down the straights because it seems like El Piloter's got that DRS. So that's helping him out as well. And actually, Francie got a really good exit out of turn 14, which is exactly what he needs. El Piloter using that ERS, though. He's going for it. Here he goes. He's going down the inside. He wants to get that move before turn 1. Is he going to do it? Yes, he does. He just slots in between or into P3. Oh, Francie was going for it. Here comes Chris as well. Chris going for it on the McLaren. They're side by side up the hill to turn 4. The Haas and the McLaren are side by side. Oh, looks like a little bit of ghosting going on there. Not exactly sure. Chris does get ahead. Francie down to P5. Robin will look to get ahead as well. Now remember, Robin is on the medium compound tire. Same with Nick Kenshin as well. Both drivers are on the medium, so those medium tires are going to start being faster than the softs. Those softs are going to start dropping off pretty much about now, actually. So I expect Robin and Nick Kenshin to possibly make the move on the 3 drivers ahead. We will find out in just a few laps' time. So up ahead, Chris trying to make the move on El Piloter. Francie trying to get back into P3. He just, the thing is that the DRS is so powerful for around here, so you can't really do anything to defend. I mean, the only thing you can really do is try and get the better exit out of turn 14 and try to defend to the inside line, or actually to the outside line. That would be the better option, but unfortunately, there's nothing you can really do if you're just kind of there on the straight. So that's the way it goes. Anyway, moving on, Robin starting to chase after Francie. I think he's looking for that move on that McLaren. He's getting very close to the back of the McLaren as, ooh, Chris gets a little out of shape out of turn number 3. He's all okay, though, as that is Teese out of the race. The first retirement of the PSGL F8 round 1, as that is Robin down the inside on Francie. Down the inside goes the Aston Martin, pushes him a little bit wide there. Will the McLaren fight back? No, Robin gets ahead for now. Francie will look to re-overtake that Aston, though. So Robin will get ahead for now, but he's going to have to make sure he starts chasing after Chris and El Piloter. And he doesn't have much ERS, neither does Chris. El Piloter has got 70% ERS, which is really beneficial in his case. So this is really working out for the Williams driver right now. And further down, Slash is starting to gain that time on the DRS pack here. He's currently, and I do believe it says he's P8, but I think he's P9, because Giro, I think, is in P8. There's just a little bit of a lag with the game, but that's okay. He is on those softs, though. So the medium tires are going to be faster. So I expect... Oh, he's actually coming into the pit lane. He is the first to come into the pit lane. I'm glad we were already on board with him. He's coming into the pits. Now, this is very interesting. I wonder what tire he's going to be going for. As meanwhile, Chris is going for the move on El Piloter. El Piloter comes back at him. Down into turn 3 we go. They're side by side. Chris, I think, will just about get ahead. But El Piloter's got the DRS. He's got the ERS. He's got everything available for him to get past. Chris trying to defend the inside line. El Piloter gets ahead for now. But Chris coming back at him. Down the inside he goes. They're still side by side coming down into turn 6 we go. The Williams, I think, is just about going to get ahead. He does. What a move that was from El Piloter. He kept it brave, he kept it calm, and went for it. So the Williams driver moves himself up into P3 and retakes third position. So meanwhile, while that was happening, Slash is gone for the medium compound tire. So he has chosen to definitely go for the two-stop strategy. I don't think those mediums can last to the end of the Grand Prix. I think he'll probably go soft, medium, soft. I think that's probably the best option for him. And to be honest, that could definitely work out. But what he has to do is make sure that he just consistently is gaining time on the pack ahead. Meanwhile, race leader into the pit lane. DeBoslayer also into the pits as well. And it looks like... Oh, I wonder if the AlphaTauri is just going to hold up the Mercedes? No! It looks like Milan will just about get ahead. Now, I'm curious to see what tires they're going to go for. I think they're both on to the mediums. Yes, they are both going on the mediums. I think El Piloter and Francie are also into the pit lane. Same with Alex as well. I think they're all coming in for the medium compound tires. This is very interesting. I wonder what type of strategy they're going to be going for. It most likely is going to be two-stop. But they could stretch these mediums to the end of the Grand Prix, which is possible, but it's very difficult to do so. It is incredibly difficult to do so. 20 laps on the mediums. Actually, you know what? Actually, now that I think about it, I think the mediums might be able to go to the end. As long as you just consistently are pulling out just consistent lap times and keeping those tires calm. Because the thing is that the mediums should last. They should last around, I'd say, around maybe 21, 22 laps. Until they start really falling off, and the race has 20 laps left, so they can definitely go to the end. So I correct myself there, they will definitely go to the end of the race. So, very interesting strategy. That is probably the best strategy, but I am curious to see what Nick and Robin and Bruh are going for, because they are on the mediums that are 12 laps old, and they're going to try and stretch those for as long as possible. So, the question is, will they move to the hards, or will they move to the softs? Probably the softs. I don't think they'll move to the hards. I don't think you really need the hards too often into this race, as it looks like Ruben comes into the pit lane. Same with Chris. So everyone on the softs is pitting. These are the last two drivers that were on the soft compound tires that are coming into the pit lane. Most likely they'll pit onto the mediums. Yes, they will. Looks like they will. Chris is coming into the mediums as well. So they are both into the pits. Very interesting. So, we are just waiting for that strategy, guys. I think that's all what this race is about. It's this strategy game. Because once Robin and Kenshin and Bruh as well all come into the pit lane, they're going to be flying on whatever tire they choose. I do believe it's going to be the softs, but who knows? Maybe they go for a soft. Could that be an option? We will find out in just a little bit of time. But yeah, my prediction is they'll probably pit mediums to soft. That's probably the better situation there. And I wonder if they will pit for when they'll pit. That's what my question is. Will they pit probably around? I'd say they probably pit around lap 22. Probably somewhere around there, maybe lap 20. Actually, I mean, the mediums last for around 20 laps, but they are old tires. So I would probably take those mediums to about lap 18, 19, somewhere around there. Even lap 20, I think that would probably be the best. And then pit onto the softs, and you can definitely take those softs for as long as possible. All right, so DeBoslayer is just at the fastest lap of the race. The AlphaTauri is now passing Giulio now. So he puts himself up into P5. He has to hope that Milan gets stuck in traffic right here, and hopefully he can try and chase after Milan. I think what De Beausoleil need is possibly like a virtual safety car or something like that. Maybe, and he hopes that like maybe Milan will maybe just have the difficult delta. Maybe that's a possibility, but I think the best situation here for him would be a safety car, because then that brings him back up to Milan. But the thing is that the top three will have to pit. So that's kind of difficult as well. So I think right now De Beausoleil's got to start chasing after Milan as much as possible, even if it degrades those tires. I think right now, if he's going to be winning this race, he has to start chasing after Milan, who's actually kind of being held up by the Ferrari just ahead. So this is kind of good. This is good that the Mercedes is being held up. This is good for De Beausoleil. Not good for Milan, of course. This is not good for Milan, but he should be able to get past. And he'll have the DRS as well. So this will be good. He's going to go to the inside line. The Ferrari was defending the inside, but Milan was like, nope, I'm not going to where you were going to go. I want to go to the inside. I want to choose that line. And he went for it. So that was a good move. Milan puts himself up into P3 on those fresher medium compound tires. And De Beausoleil has now got 3.8 seconds to the Ferrari. So he's got to start chasing after that Ferrari. I think he's already doing that. And then he's going to start chasing after Milan, who's right ahead of him. So we'll see how this all works out, guys. It's going to be very interesting. I'm also curious, when those drivers up at the front do pit, could they join Milan and De Beausoleil for the race victory? I think they could definitely pit, or definitely be in that opportunity, in that position to fight for the race victory. I think this might be a really good strategy, and this could benefit them really well. So we'll see how this all works out. Mediums to softs, that is the strategy that we're thinking right now, and they'll probably pit around lap 20. That's something like that. And hopefully, I think they're hoping for a safety car, because if they have a safety car, they basically get a free pit stop, and that puts them basically ahead of De Beausoleil and Milan as well. So they're hoping for a safety car, so maybe they might stretch those mediums for as long as possible, try and get it as much as possible. But we'll see how this all works out. And they also have to make sure they keep a good gap to Milan, who's starting to chase after them. He's just at the fastest lap of the race, a 118.5. 7.5 seconds now separates himself and Robin West. So they have to make sure they keep that gap to Milan. And actually, they're doing that. I mean, Milan is starting to gain a few tenths. But at least he's not gaining like 5 tenths a lap, you know? So this is good. This is good for Robin and Kenshin as well. And this is also kind of good for us as well, because this means that we're going to get a battle for the race victory. We're going to get an ultimate battle. I think we're going to get possibly a 3 to 4 way fight for the race victory at the end of this, because you got Milan and De Beausoleil battling for the race victory, and then you also got Robin West and Kenshin pitting and then coming onto those soft compound tires. So we'll see how this all works out, as there is a yellow flag on the pit straight. There is no one there, though. I wonder if that's maybe delayed or something like that. Not exactly sure. We also have a really long DRS train right here. It looks like El Pilotaire is leading that one away. Chris and Slash is rejoined as well. So the Williams has gained the time and has got back into the fight for the top 5, which is great to see. I predicted that Slash would come back into this race and hopefully finish in the top 5. I think he could definitely do this. And this is basically the battle for P5, even though it is P7 right now. But once everyone does pit, this should be the battle for around P4, P5. Meanwhile, we actually have a battle for the race victory. Robin West is looking to get past Kenshin. Let's see if he's going to go for it. Alpine versus Aston Martin, down to P5 we go. The Aston Martin stays behind. So he stays behind the Alpine, and Nick will look to keep ahead for now. And the question is, will Robin try and go for that undercut strategy? I think he's going to try and go for it. I mean, a safety car would be pretty beneficial, of course, for both of them. But I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Of course, we haven't seen too many crashes. I think Teese is the only one that's retired from the Grand Prix. As De Beausoleil makes the move on Broad, unfortunately, I did not see that. He got past in, I do believe, turn 9 at the downhill section into turn 10 and turn 11. But he did get past. That's great for De Beausoleil. As he moves himself up into P4 and now has a 4.8 second gap to Milan. Meanwhile, Robin is going for the move on Nick Kenshin. Here we go. Robin West moves himself up into P1 of the Grand Prix. And they are fighting it out. They got some pace in those mediums. They still do have some pace. So, I don't know. Are they waiting for the safety car? I'm assuming they are, but when will they pit? I think the better situation right here would be for one of them to risk it and go for an undercut strategy here. Because even if the safety car... Actually, if the safety car comes out, this will kind of affect their strategy. But I would risk it. I would risk it. Go for the undercut strategy. So if I were Nick Kenshin, I'd probably go for the undercut strategy. It looks like Robin's starting to pull away a little bit of time off of Nick Kenshin. So I would try and go for the undercut and try and pit a little bit earlier than Robin, and then try and just full blast send it, you know, full blast power into that car for the end of the Grand Prix. And they have to also make sure that they keep ahead of that DRS train that is, I think, 6th down to around 11th, and that would be really bad if they were in that DRS train. Of course, that would not be beneficial for them. So are any of them going to come into the pit lane? Looks like Robin is staying out. So is Kenshin. So they are staying out for another lap, possibly 2 or 3. We will find out. Meanwhile, Milan has got a 3.9 second gap. He is gaining time. He is gaining a lot of time on Kenshin and Robin West. So let's see how this all works out. De Beausoleil and the AlphaTauri as well. 5.1 seconds. He is gaining time on Milan. Just a tiny bit of time. As he just gained around 0.2. Oh, but he lost it, unfortunately. I wonder if Milan is running maybe a higher downforce setting. That might be helping him out in these corners. Because it seems like he's gaining more time in the corners than De Beausoleil. So not exactly sure, but we'll find out how this works out. Now, Milan has got the gap down to 3.2 seconds to Nick Kenshin. So I wonder if he's going to try and maybe just push as much as possible, which he is kind of doing right now, actually. Or maybe just kind of calm it down and let them kind of pit and then start pushing to keep ahead. So I don't know. We'll see how this works out. All right, so we have Robin West coming around the final corner now. Let's see if he comes into the pit lane. He's using ERS. He is not coming in the pit lane, but Nick Kenshin is going for it. He's going for the undercut strategy. So this is interesting. So this is what I said earlier, guys. The undercut strategy is really powerful for around here, and whoever does the undercut this is going to really benefit them. So this is very interesting. Nick Kenshin pitting for the softs. Perfect. Very good. He is coming to the pit lane, and it looks like Prix is also coming into the pit lane as well. So Alpine and Ferrari coming into the pits. It looks like they were held a little bit there. Not exactly sure, but Nick Kenshin, where is he going to come out? He's going to come out behind that DRS train. I thought he might be like right behind it or right ahead of it, but he's actually lost a little bit of time with that stop in the pit lane. It looks like he was held up for like around 3 or 4 seconds. I'm not sure if he had a penalty. I don't think he did, but I could be wrong. So he exits in P11 behind Felix 1 and Ruben. Interesting. So what will Robin do? What will Robin do in this scenario? Will Robin respond and pit? So now that he's seen that Nick has pit, he's seen where he's going to come out, Robin will most likely try and probably pit now to try and get ahead of that DRS train. But I don't know. He might come out right behind it. It's going to be difficult because I don't know how that stop really affected things. So he's coming into the pit lane now. He is coming into the pits. The race leader into the pit lane. Milan will retake the race lead of the Portuguese Grand Prix. So there he goes, up in P1 now. Robin West is pitting onto the softs. But the question is, where will he come out? Will he come out right behind this DRS train? I think he's just going to come out right behind it. I think he's going to come out right in between Mats and Francie. It's going to be close. Ooh, there he is. Yes, he's going to come out right behind it. He is going to come out right behind it. And he's going to come out right in between Mats and Francie. He's going to actually come out just ahead of Mats. So Mats is actually going to try and make the move on. Oh, Mats gets a 3-second time penalty as well. He cannot make the move. Robin wanted to defend that. He wanted to make sure he gets ahead. So that's good for him. So now he's got to start chasing after that DRS train. And this is not the best situation for him, of course, because the thing is that he's going to be stuck on that DRS train. But he is going to be on faster tires. So this could help him out. He might be able to get past. He's just got to make sure that he just gets past and quick, because if he's going to be in the podium positions, he's got to do it fast. I don't know if he's going to be able to chase after De Beausoleil and Milan. It's going to be really difficult because they are really far up the road, and there's around 11 laps remaining of the Grand Prix here in PSGL. So I think it mainly is just a battle between Milan and De Beausoleil for the race victory, and then that very, very interesting battle for third position between that DRS train down to 6, and then Robin and Nick Kenshin coming through the field as well. Speaking of that DRS train, is Slash going to try and make the move on his teammate as we have a yellow flag at turn 4? I do believe that is Alex coming through that section right now. I wonder if he spun off. We're just about coming to that section, so we'll see if there was a crash or something like that. Alex was disqualified. What happened there? I have no idea why he was disqualified. Very surprising there. As he's going to be down in P19, unfortunately. Not the best of days for him. But he'll come back next time in Britain for round 2. But anyway, Milan has that 5.2 second gap to De Beausoleil. The gap continues on between the top two. And it looks like El Palater has just been given a 3-second time penalty. And I do believe his teammate also has a penalty as well. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So that'll help out Robin, even if he can't get past, because he'll gain that time. But he's, I think, definitely going for a podium here. I think that's what he's doing right now. We'll find out how this all works out. Nick Kenshin is 5.9 seconds behind Robin as well. So he's trying to get up into the podium positions as well. So here comes Robin on Francie, 2.6 seconds separating Francie and himself. Robin's got barely any ERS though. That's not very, he sets the fast lap of the race though, a 118.3. So he is flying out there, but he doesn't have a lot of ERS, which could affect his overtaking speed on the DRS train coming up. He has now got that gap down to 3.2 seconds. 3.1 seconds. That gap is going to fluctuate back and forth every once in a while. So we'll see how that works out. Francie, Slash, El Palater, Chris, still in that battle for third. Is El Palater going to look to make the move on Chris? We will find out in just a moment's time. All right, so Slash is trying to make the move on El Palater. Francie's trying to make the move on Slash, but they are on that DRS train. So the one that has to make the move is El Palater. He has to make the move on Chris as much as possible. He has to get a good exit out of turn 14. He's using ERS. He knows that he has to get past, and he also knows, I'm assuming all 4 of these guys know, that Robin is coming in. Robin is coming in really fast. You can actually just see him in the background there as we ride on board with Francie. You can see a little car just in the background there. The Aston Martin's coming up down to turn 1. So he is flying. He is catching up to the pack there. Same with Nick Kenshin. But Kenshin's a little further back. I don't know if he's going to be able to get onto the podium. We will find out. Here comes El Palater, though. Is he going to try and send it down the inside? No, he is too far back. He cannot make the move quite yet. Slash right there as well. Just waiting for maybe these two to make a little mistake in their overtaking and then just slip up into P3. We will find out what exactly happens. They both have 3-second time penalties as well, the two Williams. So that will affect their end result as well. As Jarno sets the fastest lap of the race, a 118.1 for the McLaren driver. As he's down in P14. Unfortunate, of course, he was going really well. He was in P3. And unfortunately, that spin, I do believe, at turn 1, unfortunately, lost him that chance of being up in the points. It's been a difficult day, but it'll come back stronger at the next one, as anyone that has had a difficult day will come back stronger always at the next one. We'll see how that all works out in Britain. I'm excited for the British Grand Prix. It's going to be very entertaining. I love the Silverstone circuit. But right now, we got El Palater going for the move down the around the outside of the Haas car. He's side by side with the Haas coming down to turn 3. A little bit of wheel baiting there as Chris and El Palater swap positions back and forth. Chris stays ahead. Oh, it gets a little bit too much on that curve, though. Unfortunately, loses time. Here comes El Piloter. I think Slash is in the battle as well. It looks like El Piloter will just about get ahead, but Chris is coming back at him. They're still side by side. This is clean racing between the two drivers. It is the Williams, though, that gets ahead of the Haas driver. Chris is down to P4. El Piloter gets up into P3, so the Williams moves himself up into third. This is absolutely perfect as Chris is off the track. He is spun off at turn 9. That's where I think Slash spun off in the first couple of laps there. Chris is off the track and will come out just ahead of Nick Kenshin, who might be able to get past him here. He's going to try and send it on the Haas. Yes, he goes for it. He finds the space and goes for it. They're side by side coming down into turn 12. We go into turn 13. Who's going to get ahead? Is it the Haas? Is it the Alpine? It is the Haas that gets out for now, but Chris unfortunately spun and is down to P7. That was not good. And meanwhile, Robin going for the move on not just one, but two drivers as Slash comes into the pit lane. Slash into the pits. Very interesting. Very surprising, actually. As Francie trying to come back at Robin there. Robin will keep ahead, though, and he moves himself up into fourth. This is exactly where he needs to be if he's going to be in the podium positions, as Slash does pit onto a set of soft compound tires, I do believe. Yes, it is the softs. He is possibly going for that fastest lap, but he has to make sure he gets ahead of Julio. And I do believe he's going to come out right behind, maybe just ahead of Felix 1. Let's take a look at that and see. He's going to come out right behind. It is going to be right behind the Alfa Romeo, but he is on fresh soft compound tires, so he might be able to get ahead of Felix 1. We will find out how that works out in just a little bit of time. So up at the front, the battle and the gap is still pretty much the same. Milan has a 5.8 second gap to DeBoselaer. So the AlphaTauri still he's not gaining a lot of time on the Mercedes, I want to say. He hasn't gained a ton of time, but he is right there. So if Milan makes a little mistake, just a tiny little mistake, which can happen, we've seen it in past league racing, DeBoselaer is right there for the taking. He is only 6 seconds behind, and that's not too far off. So if Milan makes a little mistake, DeBoselaer is right on him. So that's going to be interesting. We will find out how that works out. Meanwhile, Robin West under pressure from Francie. Well, Francie is on 14-lap-old medium compound tires. Robin is on soft tires, and those softs still have a lot more pace. So Francie's still with the DRS, probably not going to get past Robin, even with the power of the DRS and the slipstream. Now what Robin needs to do is make sure he stays within the 3-second gap to El Piloter, because El Piloter does have that 3-second gap, but I just have a feeling that Robin is going to want to overtake the Williams on track. He wants to be going for the race or the podium here today. So let's see as he comes down to turn number 13 and all that area. It's actually turn 11 right there. Into 12, into 13. Robin's got that gap down to 1.7 seconds now. And El Piloter may be struggling with those medium compound tires. Those mediums, well, they still have some life in them. They are struggling a little bit. So now we enter just the last couple laps of the race. It's been a very entertaining race to start off the Season 30 Championship in F8. Robin still has a chance of getting P3 and getting ahead, of course. Of course, right now, he wants to try and get ahead of El Piloter, even on track. With that penalty that Piloter does have, Robin will get up into P3, but I'm assuming he wants to get up into third on track. As meanwhile, Slash sets the fastest lap of the race, the first driver into the 117s, a 117.9, I do believe. As that is a yellow flag, that is Julio off the track at turn 1. Ooh, where is that at? That is at turn 2, actually. So I think a similar situation right here would be, I think it was Jarno. Yeah, it was Jarno at turn 2. And I do believe, who was the other driver? I can't remember exactly. Can't remember. Never mind. I'll find out in a little bit. It'll come back to me. But yeah, Jarno spun off a little bit earlier. And it looks like Julio as well also spun off. Unfortunate to see that, of course. But that is the way it goes in league racing. We move on. Robin, now 1.4 seconds to El Piloter as we enter lap 30 out of 33. Just a few laps remaining of the Portuguese Grand Prix. Robin wants that P3 on track. And the thing is, too, is if he gets a penalty, then he will not get P3. So even if he gets a penalty, or even if he... Wait, I don't know what I was saying. Anyway, moving on. Robin is going to want to get the position. Because the thing is that he could get a penalty at any point, where the penalties around here are kind of difficult because the car kind of just throws itself to the left or the right, you know, and off the track, really. So I think Robin's going to want to get ahead into P3. El Piloter, I think, is struggling a little bit with those medium tires. I think Robin is starting to catch up a lot on El Piloter. He's got the gap down to 1.4 seconds now. And Francie right there as well. So Francie might want I think he's going to want to get past El Piloter. And currently, he is going to finish in P4. Because El Piloter's got that 3-second time penalty. But like I said earlier, the car sometimes can throw itself to off the track. And the driver can get a penalty, of course. And unfortunately, that does give him the penalty and not the position, of course. So anyway, basically... I think Francie, Robin will look to get ahead on track because they don't want to risk it, especially if they get a penalty. So we'll see how that all works out. But Robin now starting to lose a little bit of time, I think. He's down to 1.5 seconds. El Piloter is starting to pull away a little bit. I wonder if Robin's just thinking, all right, you know what? I got the position. I know I'm going to get the position. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Francie's still right behind Robin. I think Francie's just using the slipstream from Robin and trying to just stay with him to try and get that gap to El Piloter and finish in 4th position. And there's a very big chance that Francie could finish on the podium as well. One little mistake by Robin, and Francie could be into P3. So who knows? We'll see how this works out. All right, so up at the front, we haven't talked about it too much. There hasn't been much change, really. Milan and De Bosler, 6.7 seconds separating the two drivers. They've had a pretty consistent race. They've had, Milan's pretty much had P1 pretty much the entire race. De Bosler's had P2 for all the race, and it's really been that battle for P3 as Slash gets a 3-second time penalty. And I wonder if that was at turn 13. Not exactly sure about that one. Meanwhile, Chris is on Kenshin here. I wonder if Kenshin's tires are starting to drop off a little bit here. Those softs will be on pretty much similar wear to the mediums, actually. So they're pretty much on similar pace right now. But the softs might just have the edge over the mediums at this stage. They might just barely have the edge over that tire. So, moving on, Robin West, still 1.4 seconds. I don't think he's going to be able to catch up to El Piloter and overtake him on track. I think he just wants to make sure he's consistent, make sure he doesn't get a penalty, and make sure he keeps that gap to El Piloter. Francie, I think he's wanting to finish ahead of Robin. He wants to get ahead. He sees the podium in his sight, but it's going to be difficult, especially with Robin having the soft tires that are a lot faster than those 18-lap-old medium compound tires. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Nick Kenshin, ooh, a little wide there. That might invite Chris to try and make the move on the Alpine. Here we go, down into turn 14. He's got the DRS. Now remember, these two don't have any DRS, or sorry, they don't have any penalties. Chris will look to get ahead of Kenshin as we enter the final lap of the Grand Prix. This is the only place where he's gonna be really able to make the overtake, unless he gets a really good exit off of turn 4 and tries to make the overtake. Here he goes. He's using everything he tries to. He's gonna go for it. Down the inside we go. Oh, there's contact between the two. I was a little late for Chris. There's not a lot of space between the two drivers in that particular section because it is very difficult to make an overtake and go side by side into turn 1. But there was a little bit of contact. Chris is going to try and make the move on Kenshin, though. He's using the DRS. He's going to try and make the move. Here he goes down the inside. No, he backs off. He knows that he cannot make the move into that particular section, but he's going to try and go for the switchback maneuver down to turn 5. We go into turn 6. Nick stays ahead for now. Chris into turn 7 and 8. Ooh, gets a little too much on the curb. but that is completely okay. But here comes Milan. He's had a very consistent race, started on pole, and will end there. Milan wins the first ever race in F8 in season 30. He is the winner of round 1 in PSGL. Milan is the winner. De Bosler grabs P2, consistent points for AlphaTauri, and it is going to be Robin coming around the final corner now to score P3 for Aston Martin. Congrats to him. What a finish. What a result. It is Mercedes, AlphaTauri, and Aston Martin on the podium, with Milan taking the first win in F8 season 30. It has been an incredible race for him. He has consistently drove that one, and maybe that says something. Maybe that says Milan is going to be fighting for the championship as we head into the final few rounds of F8. But wow, guys, what an incredible race. That truly was incredibly exciting. That was brilliant. It was incredibly thrilling to watch this race, guys. To start off F8, much more will come, guys. This is just the first round, remember. We just have the first round. We still have many more to go. There is still a lot more racing to go. Of course, we have 14 more rounds to go. So much more racing is coming. Great Britain is coming up next for round 2. Then we head to Monaco. That's going to be absolutely incredible. Then France, Hungary, Austria, Saudi Arabia, Belgium, Netherlands, Brazil, Mexico, Singapore, United States, Italy, and rounding off in Bahrain. But to start off the season, I think that was a pretty good race. Milan takes the win. I think we're just waiting for Giro to come across the line. It says he's in the pit lane. I'm not exactly sure. It says he's 15 laps behind the other driver. I don't think that's correct, but that's that. All right, so I think we're just waiting for everyone. I think we're just waiting for everyone to come across the line now. Not exactly sure. But yeah, it was a brilliant race from all our guys here today. Milan taking the win, De Bosler in P2, Robin in P3, Francie in P4. Congrats to him from McLaren, Alpalater, and Slash, P5 and P11 for the Williams team. Slash got the fastest lap, but I do believe finished outside the podium, outside the points. He's down to P11, unfortunately, but that's okay. He'll move on to the next one. Chris in P6, Nick Kenshin in P7, Ruben in P8, Felix 1 in P9, and Red Bull's Syntex rounding off the top 10 on those 22-lap-old medium compound tires. So, it looks like we are just waiting for Giro to come across the line. There we go. We're good. We are good. Now we head into the podium celebrations. And we'll ride on board with our winning driver, Milan. He's had a brilliant race. Really has a consistent job by him. And now we move on to the next one, really. So it is Mercedes that grabbed the first trophy here in Portugal. Congrats to them. They have had a brilliant race so far. Hopefully this is what's to come. Maybe they'll be fighting for the Constructors' Championship. AlphaTauri's in P2 and the Aston Martin is in P3. Congrats to all the teams. Congrats to all the drivers. And congrats to all the grid. I mean, these guys did an incredible job here today. Really, really stunning. So well done to all of them. All right, so that's the result for the Portuguese Grand Prix, the first ever round in F8 Season 30. It is Milan that takes the win from first in the grid. He takes the win as well. De Bosler for AlphaTauri started third, finished second. Congrats to him. Robin West in the Aston Martin started P12, finished third. What an incredible race from him. He pulled that strategy really well. He went mediums to softs. That was really good for him. Francie in P4, El Piloter in P5, completing the top 5. Then we got Chris in P6, Nick Kenshin in P7 for Alpine, with Ruben in the Aston Martin finishing in P8. Felix 1, Syntex are rounding off the top 10. Like I mentioned previously, Slash got that fastest lap, but unfortunately it won't go to him because he didn't finish in the top 10. He was one position short, but he'll move on to the next one and look to get a better result. So now we're going to do some interviews to our top 3 drivers if we can get them all in here. So just give me a moment. I'm going to invite them all to the party here, and we're gonna get them in and just quickly do a few interviews, and then we're gonna round off the first race here in Season 30. All right, so I see we have two of our podium finishers here. While we're waiting for our third, do you think you guys can check and see if your settings are correct and able to be shared on YouTube and all that sort of thing? I'm going to quickly go to our showroom here so we can get every car for our race winners. I guess we should start out with Milan. Milan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, and just a quick question. Is your settings all correct so everyone can hear you on YouTube?
Should be.
Awesome.
I changed it, so.
Cool, thank you so much. All right, and I do believe we have Robin also joining us as well. So yeah, if you guys can check and see if your party settings are all correct while we start off with our race winner. Yeah, so thank you very much. Let's move on to Milan. Milan, I want to say, first off, congrats on the win. Congrats on pole position. You really dominated that race. You had an incredible race in Portugal. Just talk us through how your race went.
Well, my start was perfectly, to be fair, and I saw the Bucelara coming up out of P2, and I know he's a fast guy, so I started pushing my ERS, and I had no ERS for the rest of the race, but I was consistent, and that's key, so nothing more to add on that.
Yeah, I mean, you had a brilliant race. It looked like you had the perfect start, like you mentioned. You consistently just kept ahead, really. And I know the AlphaTauri of the Blue Slayer was trying to chase after you, and you guys had that nice little battle in terms of like the strategy and all that sort of thing. But you mentioned like the key moments of that race. What do you think was key heading into the first round of F8? And what do you think is going to be good for you coming into the next couple of rounds?
Well, I was in F7 last season, but I didn't practice at all. And now I will start practicing, improve the league out is wrong when demoting me. So I think that's key for me.
Well, I think you're definitely showing that you got the pace. I mean, this first race showed it by taking pole and winning that race. So, yeah, I hope your season goes really well and hope you'll be up there fighting, hopefully, for the championship.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, so, yeah, let's move on to our second place finisher, De Bloselair in the AlphaTauri. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. All right, so let's talk about your race. So you had a really good race. I do believe you started third in the Grand Prix. You finished second. You had that great start off of, I do believe, Slash. You were side by side with the AlphaTauri and the you were the AlphaTauri, of course. You were side by side with the Williams heading down into turn one. You eventually got ahead. How did your race go? Just talk us through everything.
Well, the start was fine. I think I got a slightly better start than Slash. And then I went around the outside, but he pushed me wide, so I had to overtake him out of the track, and I don't know if he's gonna report me for that, but I think it was fair because he didn't leave me much room. And yeah, for the rest, Milan had great pace. I couldn't keep up with him, so yeah, nothing more to add really.
Yeah, and you were consistently like in that gap with Milan. You two were kind of trading gaps back and forth and all that sort of thing. You had a very consistent race as well. And yeah, now heading into Great Britain, what's your thoughts on that race? And also, what's your thoughts on the season as well? What's your chances for this season? What's your thoughts on all that?
Well, I think obviously Milan is the fastest guy in there. So yeah, I think it's a great calendar for me. There are some tracks where I'm quite fast at, but I thought I had a chance for the win as well in this race. But yeah, I just couldn't keep up with him. So I don't know my chances. I think I can be a good second place.
All right. Well, we'll see how it goes. I hope you have much success in season 30 and in the F8 championship, of course. Yeah, just hope you have some amazing results.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to our third place finisher, Robin. Robin, welcome to the commentary box here. And you finished third. You had an amazing strategy. You started P12, if I'm not mistaken. You had the medium compound tires. You went all the way to the softs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And then you consistently were chasing after the rest of the field and getting up to that DRS train. You eventually passed all of them and finished P3. So talk us through your race.
Yeah, it was a good race. I had some nice battles and overtakes with Nick and Frankie, so that was really nice. And then put the overcut on Nick, but he had the 5 seconds, so I could come out ahead of him. So, and then it was pushing all the way to the end and getting Frankie out of my DRS, and that's paid off. And I did get in the 3-second penalty of El Piloter, so it was really nice to get it.
Yeah, you started off season number 30 really well. I mean, with that incredible strategy on a track that is kind of unfamiliar to a lot of drivers. It hasn't been in the F1 games for too long, but I'm sure you guys have helped in practicing this one. But yeah, you had a great race, really did. And I think I just want to ask you about that strategy. You started P12. Was the objective always to start on the medium compound tires, or were you thinking of maybe starting on the softs?
No, I thought medium soft was faster, and it paid off, so yeah. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I mean, the strategy really did work out. You had a great strategy, medium to soft. That was really beneficial for you in getting that P3. So congrats to you. I hope your season goes really well, especially next time out in Great Britain and for the rest of the season.
Yes, thank you very much.
No problem, no problem. All right, so that concludes our interviews for the first round in Portugal, guys. I hope you all enjoyed that one. It was an incredible race. It truly was. And yeah, can't wait for the next one, guys. I hope you guys are going to be enjoying that one. So that's pretty much it. I think that concludes our first race in Season 30 of the F8 Championship. If you guys did enjoy the stream, definitely like the stream, of course, and subscribe to see more PSGL content. And join us next week, same exact time, for the second round in F8 at the British Grand Prix. That will truly be exciting as we head to Silverstone for round 2. But that was the Portuguese Grand Prix. I'm Formula Jonah, and that was the drivers competing for an incredible race that will surely turn into an incredible championship. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.